if I were a 1%er, I'll be getting the hell out of Dodge. Because it's not going to be pitchforks and torches, man. It's going to be AKs and 50 cals. I would be getting up out of Dodge if I had stuff, or I would be entrenched with the people, trying to help the people out. If a bank bail-in occurs, America won't be the same. America won't be the same. I'm not saying America's going to collapse. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say it's just going to be, just massive violence everywhere. I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is, when they had to bail in Cyprus or wherever they were doing that, it's not going to go like that, because in Cyprus they don't have weapons like Americans have. It's not going to go like that, but it's going to be ugly, and it's going to take politicians to actually break away from the 1% and come up with ways to make people whole and make it right. Let's continue.
That point in time, they knew that in the future, things would be a lot worse than they were back in 2008. And when that day came, they had to have a plan ready to go. This is a widespread plan, something that has happened from the top, from the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, the Bankers Bank, the central bank of banks, right? They have documentation outlining a bail-in playbook. This is the next move as things continue to deteriorate. No, it won't be their first choice. People say, well, when things be so bad, yes. But what we've seen again is how quickly that can happen. Everyone thinks they can time it until they can't. How long could you survive without access to your accounts? Could you survive a month, 2 years? That's why it is so important to make sure that you are protected outside of their system, outside of the fiat currency, outside of the bank's control. For me.
And this is the pitch for gold. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I can't, at least it's something. Like you see, it's worth something. People say, oh man, just go into crypto and all that, man. You can't hold Bitcoin. That's all run by the blockchain or whatever. And I'm not crazy about that, because how long before AI breaks the blockchain? Cracks it. Has AI already cracked the blockchain? So definitely talk to your financial planner. Talk to somebody who knows something about something. You're gonna want to get some assets, land. Gonna need that. Housing and all that. Gonna need that. Having gold or silver that you carry around, and you're probably gonna need that.
Have a strategy that involves physical gold and silver for what is coming next. You can call us at the number below. You can scan the QR code. We at ITM Trading, we are a full service physical gold and silver dealer. But not only that, we specialize in helping people just like you create a custom strategy for what is coming next. And if you want to learn more about gold and silver, we have the amazing gold and silver guide that has a ton of great information you can download.
And you're right, brother. Like, land prices are about to tank. Hold cash. The problem with holding cash, it's not backed by anything. It is truly fiat currency. So if you hold cash and the value of that currency collapses overnight, what do? You need to put your money in something of value. And if you're going to hold cash, you're going to hold currency, which I would say get US dollars, at least in the short term, because the value of dollars will go up because everyone does business in dollars, but then people are going to start dumping the dollar. So, and again, I'm not giving any kind of financial advice, but I'm just trying to figure it out like everybody else. If I was to hold any one currency, I would hold US dollars for the short term while dollars are going up in value. Then I would be taking that money, that added value, and putting it in something that has true value. That's what I would be doing, whatever that may be. You want to get gold, you want to get silver, you want to get properties, whatever that would be. You can find something that's worth something, and then take your dollars and then put it and buy that thing, and then kind of wait the storm out. But be careful with cash, brother. Yeah, brass. Yeah, brother Carlos has a really good point. Yeah, man. Yeah, bro, that has value. That has value, man. Kiyosaki was talking about that 2 or 3 years ago on Fresh and Fit. He was saying he was actually investing in that, and he was just stockpiling because he's like, this is going to have value, and he might be right. He might be right. Backed by taxes, so we need that populist government. Yeah, this is a government breaker. If this happens, and of course, everyone's going to look at the worst case scenario, but if this happens, that whatever that government is going to change. It's going to change. Again, here in the U.S., I'm not saying that the U.S. is going to go away, but there will be some major changes in the way we do business because you're taking money to bail out banks when you should just let the banks fail because they did this. They put themselves in a situation. If you believe in capitalism, if you're a true capitalist, then those banks that fail, they got to fail. But everyone is tied into this Ponzi scheme. So once the cards fall down, okay, all the cards are falling. Now it's time to rebuild. On the other side of this, the government is not going to look the same. They're not. I said this during the great financial meltdown with the housing market, right? The great housing crisis or whatever it was, the GFC. I was at work. We were talking about it. I'm like, man, you got to let these banks fail. I'm like, you can't do that. If you do that, you got to bail them out. Now let them banks fail. We should not have too big to fail. That shouldn't be a thing. Let them all fail. Because trust me, there's some bankers out there, there's some businessmen out there who saw this coming and they're like, we're still not going to do that. We're not going to risk our corporation. Right now, I'm reading the book that Sorkin wrote, Andrew Ross Sorkin, his first book that I was aware of, Too Big to Fail. I'm reading that right now. And, these bankers, these guys, these business guys and girls, they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were betting everybody's house on this stuff. They knew it, but they were making so much money, with this predatory lending and stuff like that, with the ninja loans and all, they were making so much money. They got greedy. They lost sight of everything. And they lost everything. Lehman Brothers should not have been the only institution that went under. I would have let them all go under. They just would have been replaced by the people below them coming up who did business the right way. That's what I hope happens this time. I hope it happens, but you got a president who's tied into the 1%. He's not going to just let that happen. He's going to fight to keep the old system in place. So, man, it's going to be crazy, man. Yeah, you're right. Hey, man, the value of the dollar with guns in this country, like, they don't pay your taxes, we'll take your house. But here's the thing. If the whole system collapses, no one's even worried about taxes at that point. If the US dollar has no value, the only thing that holds the dollar up is people have trust and faith in the US dollar. It's not backed by anything. Nixon took us off the gold standard. That was it. The dollar is just a piece of paper. Once the rest of the world decides that the US dollar is worthless and they're going to get out of it, you're going to see a spike in the dollar, and then the dollar is going to collapse and fall off because no one's going to use it anymore. It's going to switch to another currency. And no, it's not going to be Brinks or whatever that was. What was that? Was it Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and China? It's not going to be that. Right? But it might be, I don't know. It won't be the ruble. It might be the Deutschmark. It won't be the yen. It won't be the Chinese yen. It won't be the Japanese, the Chinese or Japanese currency. I don't know. I don't know where currency they're going to go to. Would it be the pound? I don't know. All right, but it'll definitely change. We got Scam Likely in the building. What's happening, fam? Maybe the euro, but I think the Deutschmark is stronger than the euro, right? I don't know. I don't know currencies. That's something we got to do. Homework for everybody. Everybody, let's do some stuff. Here's the homework assignment. Here's the thought experiment. If the dollar collapses, what currency would replace the dollar? What country? And what currency? Will it come out of the Middle East? Will it come out of Europe? Will it come out of North America, like Canada? You know what I mean? Will it come out of Asia? Like where will it come? I wonder. Nah, I don't think so, man, because South Africa is worse off. And here's the thing. Everyone's tied to the dollar. So once America falls, everyone falls hard. Then it becomes who recovers first. And I would imagine America will be in the race to recover first. Again, Germany might not fall as hard as everyone else, so they recover first, and everyone's on the mark. If the mark is tied to something, the Deutschmark, or America recovers, but changes the government and changes the currency and ties it to something. It's like, okay, the new and improved US dollar is going to be tied to gold, silver, or maybe even Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin, but they're going to tie it to something that people have faith in. So that's our homework assignment, man. Let's do that. That's the thought experiment. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna come back tomorrow. We're gonna talk some red pill stuff. But before we get into red pill talk, we'll ask like, hey, what what currency would take over if the if the US dollar were to completely fall and the entire world divested in the dollar? Like, we're not messing with America and their dollar anymore. It was a Ponzi scheme. They went crazy. We don't trust them. We're done with the dollar. If that happens, and again, if that happens, remember, it's going to be a spike in the dollar because they got to settle all that debt in dollars. So it'd be people who be going out trying to get dollars so they can settle their debt, turn their debt over into something else. What would that be? You know, the sister here with ITM Trading, they want it to be gold. Would it be gold? Then, okay, which country will be the first country to tie their currency to gold? And then that country would, you know what I mean? That currency would be the world currency moving forward.